Christian, thanks. We are going right now to Governor Roy Cooper, who is at the Emergency Operations Center in Raleigh, giving an update on this storm, which we now know has turned deadly. Let's listen in.
Impacts across North Carolina. Emergency management officials continue our response to this dangerous storm, particularly in the western part of our state. The priority now is saving lives. Helene is causing life-threatening flash flooding, numerous landslides, and downed trees causing power outages. Flooding will continue through the weekend in some areas and may even occur in areas that don't typically flood. With the rain that they had already been experiencing before Helene's arrival, this is one of the worst storms in modern history for parts of western North Carolina. The end of the rain is not the end of the threat. This fierce storm will move out of our state in the next 24 hours, but the danger will not be over. Tropical storm force winds that border on hurricane strength are happening right now across western North Carolina. Trees are falling, causing widespread power outages. As of this morning, there are over 879,000 estimated power outages across our state. We're also currently aware of 290 closed roads. For the people in western North Carolina, do not travel unless there is an emergency. Because conditions are continuing to worsen, people in western North Carolina should consider all roads closed unless you are seeking higher ground. For much of our state, there's also the continued potential for tornadoes with the storm system. They can quickly spin up with a little warning. I urge people to stay informed, listen to local radio, TV, and local emergency response officials. Sadly, our hearts are heavy as we report 2 deaths, one in Catawba County due to a motor vehicle collision on a flooded roadway, and one in Charlotte due to a tree falling on a home. There will be more as we know this storm is continuing across our state. We are working to try to prevent as many as we possibly can. And in all parts of our state where there is flooding, remember, do not drive through floodwaters. As I've said so many times, we've lost too many North Carolinians who've driven into floodwaters. So turn around, don't drown. The state emergency response team's efforts will continue to work with local officials and support impacted communities today and throughout the weekend. Our state search and rescue teams are being assisted from teams from more than a dozen other states, and I'm deeply grateful for their work to save lives. Currently, we are aware of over 100 swiftwater rescues since the beginning of this event, but we know there will be many more. Our emergency management team here and in counties across the state are continuing to deploy resources strategically to save lives and to strengthen the response for counties and cities. Numerous evacuations have been ordered in areas likely to flood. If you're told to evacuate, please get out of the danger zone. There are about 15 shelters available and more will be added. Keep yourself informed as we bear the brunt of the storm to protect yourself and your families. We know North Carolinians are strong, and our first responders are the best in the nation. I'm thankful for their hard work and for risking their lives to protect all North Carolinians. Today I'm joined by Emergency Management Director Will Ray, our Secretary of the Department of Public Safety, Eddie Buffalo, the Adjutant General of the North Carolina National Guard, Major General Todd Hunt, Chief Operating Officer of the North Carolina Department of Transportation, Chris Peoples, the Commander of the North Carolina State Highway Patrol, Colonel Freddie Johnson, FEMA Field Coordinating Officer Craig Levy. Our sign language interpreters are Brian Tipton, and behind the scenes, our Spanish language interpreters are Yasmin Mativier and Erica Kugler. At this time, I'll ask Director Ray for his update. Will?
Thank you, Governor Cooper, and good morning, everyone. North Carolina is currently experiencing the impacts of Helene, which will continue into Saturday. As we said yesterday, North Carolinians should remain informed, have a plan in place to protect your family, and should take this storm seriously. The State Emergency Response Team remains fully activated today, and our operational priority continues to be on supporting our impacted local jurisdictions across the state. We continue to have our public sector, private sector, nonprofits, and volunteer agencies here at the EOC and working in communities across the state. Since yesterday, we have seen life-threatening flash flooding, landslides, and downed trees, primarily across the foothills and mountains of North Carolina. Areas of our state, particularly in the west, have seen immense rainfall totals already. As we go into this afternoon, we will continue to see rainfall across the state, with weather conditions improving over the course of the afternoon and evening. There remains a severe weather threat to central and eastern North Carolina, where tornadoes and heavy downpours are expected. For those that are in flood-prone areas, please make sure you are informed, that you have a plan of action to quickly evacuate if necessary, and that you are receiving information from reliable sources such as local emergency management offices and the National Weather Service. With such significant rainfall, water levels and flooding in the North Carolina mountains can rapidly change and can create a substantial threat to life. Many counties in western North Carolina have ordered evacuations to save lives. It is imperative that all residents in evacuation zones please leave and move to a safer location. Please avoid traveling if at all possible, particularly in the mountains and foothills. If you must travel, please visit drivenc.gov to check roadway status. This website is updated regularly by the Department of Transportation. As of this morning, as the governor said, there are over 290 roadways that are closed in our state from impacts of both Helene as well as PTC 8 last week. I want to thank our partners in the North Carolina DOT for their continued hard work to block roadways to protect the public and for continuing to quickly clear roadways when it is safe to do so. Further, the DOT is advising North Carolinians in western North Carolina particularly to seek higher ground and shelter in place. And as the governor said, do not travel unless there is an emergency. Emergency personnel and rescuers should be the only ones on the roadways, as well as our infrastructure partners as we move into power restoration efforts. Do not drive through standing water. Do not drive around barricades and road closed signs. They are there to protect you and your families. There are currently 25 county and 43 municipal states of emergency declared. The State Emergency Response Team is supporting numerous shelter operations in western North Carolina communities. Additional personnel to assist with sheltering are being brought in from unimpacted areas of the state or from other states outside of North Carolina. 14 local shelters have been opened in multiple counties, and for updated shelter information, please visit readync.gov. Our partners in the North Carolina Office of EMS have deployed ambulance buses, additional EMS units, and additional medical personnel to assist in sheltering operations and to support healthcare facilities. This will also continue post-impact. There have been rescues made, and the response to swiftwater incidents is ongoing across the mountains as of this morning by members of our North Carolina first responder and search and rescue community. The North Carolina State Emergency Operations Center has deployed 30 swiftwater rescue teams and added additional swiftwater rescue teams from New York, Indiana, Illinois, Oklahoma, New Hampshire, Delaware, and Michigan. This is in addition to 5 urban search and rescue teams deployed to assist with any structural collapses that occur. FEMA has deployed 4 search and rescue teams, and we are requesting additional teams at this time, as well as some potential partnership with our colleagues in the U.S. Coast Guard. The North Carolina National Guard has deployed over 350 National Guardsmen and 131 vehicles to include high water vehicles and aviation assets to assist in the event, and are adding to those numbers throughout the day today. The logistics branch has assisted counties and response partners with deployment of meals, water, tarps, and other commodities and supplies. As we have continued to state, flooding may occur outside of areas that normally flood with the forecasted rainfall totals we are seeing. Please stay safe today, check on your neighbors and those in your community who need assistance, and take protective actions when directed by local authorities to do so. During a disaster or major event, we are stronger together and make for more resilient communities. Finally, I'd like to say thank you to the dedicated and brave first responders and members of the emergency management community who are answering North Carolina's call and working to save lives in your communities across the state. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Director Ray. I've activated additional National Guard soldiers to help with this, and so I'm going to ask Adjutant General of the North Carolina National Guard, Major General Todd Hunt, for his update.
Thank you, Governor. And before I get started, I'm going to give a quick update on what the Guard is doing. But additionally, I want to thank the Guardians of the great state of North Carolina for answering the call. Thank them and their families during this time of crisis. Our current status or our footprint is we are located in the following cities. Asheville. We've been in Asheville for over a day now, providing support last night. Charlotte, Morganton, Concord, with additional units we have in Burlington, Greensboro, and Rockingham. Those units are ready to move forward when the weather permits. Like was previously mentioned, we have 385 soldiers and airmen on duty with 131 vehicles. We have 13 aircraft ready to deploy when the weather breaks, and we also have some additional support, if required, from other states, Maryland and Connecticut. Our vehicles that we have right now are mainly high water type vehicles and palletized vehicles who can produce commodities and bring commodities to the affected areas. We are also going to augment forestry with some chainsaw and debris removal teams as we move throughout the storm. Again, I want to thank our guardsmen and their families for protecting this great state, and just have your prayers with those individuals that are out there today. Thank you very much, Governor.
Thank you, General Hunt. There are a lot of people out there working today. We know that families are still in danger. People at this emergency operations center will be working until we get through this thing. We'll take questions now. If you guys can move to the mics over here, if anybody wants to ask one.
Laura Leslie, WRAL. A question for the DOT about the extent of road outage, road closures, outages, and how is 40 looking out west, for example, and what are the major trouble spots for transportation?
We have 290 roads closed right now, but more of them are closing as we speak, particularly in western North Carolina. But Mr. Peoples, I'll let you come forward.
Thank you, Governor. So right now we know of at least 4 spots on I-40 that are the roadways closed. The top of Old Fort Mountain, we have a slide that's covered all 4 lanes, so the road's closed there. There's also high water in locations at several other spots on I-40. I-26 is also flooded at 2 locations, mile marker 55 and mile marker 38. US 74 at I-40 is completely underwater. So there's many other locations, and this is a rapidly changing circumstance. So again, I'd just like to echo, if you don't have to drive, please don't.
Well, you've been hearing the latest update from Governor Roy Cooper at the Emergency Management Center in Raleigh. He said, quote, "This is one of the worst storms in modern history in western North Carolina. We now know this storm sadly has turned deadly. At least 2 people have died, including a child in Catawba County when a car collided into another car on a flooded roadway. And then this morning, a man died in a house in Charlotte when a tree fell on top of it. There are 870,000 plus power outages across our state, 290 closed roads, and at least 100 water rescues. The governor announcing just now he has activated additional National Guards members. We also just have a tornado warning in our area. Let's get right to meteorologist Christian Morgan.